If you're worried about a belly that sticks out and just will not go away no matter what you do, this video is for you. In this video, I will break down 4 main reasons why your belly can protrude. The last 3 are very unexpected, so make sure to watch until the end. And of course, I will show you what exactly you can do to make your stomach flatter. I spent many years struggling with this myself and couldn't understand why my belly was sticking out, even though my weight was low. I tried losing weight with diets, I tried doing endless ab workouts, I even bought special belts and went for massages, but nothing really worked. It only started to change when I learned how the body actually works and understood these 4 reasons. That is when I finally got results. In this video, I will give you a step-by-step plan to get a flatter stomach. I will go through each reason in details and explain exactly what to do about each one. Let's get started. The first and most obvious reason is, of course, fat. When we have a lot of body fat, the belly will naturally look bigger. But why does it feel like fat loves to collect exactly on the stomach? Why does it go there so easily and then leave from there so slowly? We all have different body types and different patterns of fat storage. This is influenced by genetics, hormones, and individual metabolism. This is why some people gain more around the stomach, others more on hips or arms. But the belly area is really one of the most common trouble zones, because both subcutaneous and visceral fat tend to build up there and be the last to go. And there is one more thing. Fat often goes hand in hand with water retention. So when you have a lot of fat on your stomach, your body can also hold on to more fluid in this area. And that makes your belly look even bigger. So how do we actually deal with belly fat? It is very important to do it in a smart way. Not with extreme diets, starvation, endless massages and reps. Nutrition plays a key role in reducing belly fat. If you want your belly to get smaller, you need a balanced way of eating with a small calorie deficit. For some people, it will be convenient to weigh their food and count calories. For example, if they're really deep into fitness and nutrition and are ready to spend their time and energy on that. But I think most people want something simpler and more universal, and something that doesn't require counting calories for the rest of their lives just to maintain the result. So what you really need is to build a way of eating that fits into your life and can become your lifestyle. Not you adjusting your whole life to a diet, but a diet adjusting to you. It is very important to focus not on quick diets and one-week workout challenges, but on changing your lifestyle and turning it into your routine. You need to understand it is not a sprint, it's a marathon. If you start by sprinting as hard as you can, you simply will not reach the finish line. What you need is to understand the main principles of nutrition and how to build a balanced plate. A way of eating where you create your meals from foods you actually like. And of course, where your favorite treats are included. The system I teach doesn't feel like diet in everyday life. You keep losing weight and at the same time you still enjoy your food. On top of that, the belly can look bigger simply because of bloating and gas in the intestines. Not always, but very often it is linked to an unbalanced diet. And when we work with clients on their nutrition, support their gut health and digestion, the bloating goes away and the belly becomes much smaller and flatter. And then we add movement and daily activity, because it's your everyday non-exercise activity that actually burns the biggest chunk of your calories. And when we remove the excess fat, the stomach does become smaller. But very often, you can lose almost all extra fat, but your belly still sticks out. I see a lot of lean, slim women who have very little extra weight or none at all, but their stomach still protrudes. And this is where we move on to the topic that connects the next 3 reasons. This is intra-abdominal pressure. We're used to thinking that belly is just what we see from the front. But in reality, the way your stomach looks depends on this whole trunk area. Imagine that you have a cylinder inside your body. The top of the cylinder is your rib cage, the ribs and the diaphragm, which is your main breathing muscle and sits under your lower ribs. The bottom of the cylinder is your pelvis and pelvic floor muscles. In the front and on the sides, you have your abdominal muscles. At the back, you have your spine and deep small muscles along your spine. All this together forms a cylinder. And inside the cylinder, you have intra-abdominal pressure. You can imagine it like a ball that is pressing from the inside. When the cylinder is in good position, the pressure spreads evenly in all directions, and your belly looks flatter and more supported. The main muscle that controls this pressure is the diaphragm. It is located here under your ribs. The diaphragm works like a dome. When you inhale, it moves down, the ribs gently open in all directions, they expand in 360 degrees, and the pelvic floor drops down in sync with the diaphragm. The intra-abdominal pressure is distributed evenly in all directions, instead of pushing only forward into the belly. When you exhale, the ribs come back, the pelvic floor lifts, and the deep core muscles gently pull the lower belly inward. But if you only breathe with your upper chest, the diaphragm is tight and doesn't work fully. The ribs stick out forward and the pressure goes into the front wall of the abdomen. That is why the belly can stick out even with the low body fat percentage. This is the result of a faulty breathing pattern. Today, most people are tense, compressed by clothes, sit in awkward positions, and the diaphragm simply doesn't work the way it should. And this becomes the body's habit. To change that, you need to spend about 5 minutes a day practicing 360-degree breathing with the right technique. Step by step, your body learns a new breathing pattern, and you start breathing this way in daily life without thinking about it. The pressure inside the cylinder spreads more evenly, and your belly starts to look flatter and more supported. Your breathing pattern also affects how well your deep core muscles activate. They form the middle layer of our cylinder. And this is the third reason why your belly can stick out. Weak deep core muscles. Most of us are used to training the abs with crunches, leg raises, and all those classic exercises. We push through the burn and think that this will magically make our belly flat. But it doesn't work that way because the belly has several different muscles. There are deep abdominal muscles and there are superficial ones. The rectus abdominis is the superficial layer. This is the one we train with crunches. It sits right in the front, and if you keep training them while your deep core muscles are weak, you can actually make the belly protrusion worse, simply because the intra-abdominal pressure will be distributed incorrectly. Even if you build visible abs, it will not make your stomach flat if your deep core is weak. You can literally end up with abs on a protruding belly, which is exactly what we sometimes see even in competitive bodybuilders with a very low fat percentage. The muscle that is responsible for the flat look of your stomach is the deep transverse abdominis. This is the one that really matters when you want your belly to be flat, because the transverse abdominis wraps around the entire abdomen like a natural corset and helps support your organs and control the intra-abdominal pressure. When this muscle is weak, your belly will stick out no matter how strong your six-pack is. So if you want a supported, pulled-in belly shape, you must train your deep core. And this is done not with crunches, not with exercises that set your abs on fire, but with a completely different type of training with proper breathing during the exercise. This work feels very different. You cannot see these muscles from the outside, you cannot grab or pump them, and you will not feel this burning sensation during the exercises. But this deep, subtle work is exactly what helps pull the belly in. You can literally see the difference on photos when we strengthen the transverse abdominis. The belly changes noticeably right away. And finally, there is one more reason that affects the previous two and directly influences the intra-abdominal pressure. And that reason is posture. It is important to understand that posture isn't just whether your shoulders roll forward or backward. Posture is the position of your entire body. It includes the position of your head, your shoulder girdle, the curves of your spine, the placement of your chest and abdomen, your pelvis, your arms, and your legs. And for our topic, the most important parts of posture is the rib cage and the pelvis. The rib cage is the top of the cylinder, the pelvis is the bottom, and your belly is the bridge between them. In an ideal situation, the rib cage should be stacked properly over the pelvis. When this alignment is correct, the intra-abdominal pressure can distribute evenly. But when this alignment is disturbed and the posture is shifted, it affects how the diaphragm can move and how effectively the deep core muscles can activate. Let me show you what this looks like using a balloon as an example. When our cylinder gets out of alignment, this happens when the ribcage shifts out of its neutral position, or the pelvis tilts too far forward or backward, or both happen at the same time. The intra-abdominal pressure also changes and starts to push your belly forward. In an ideal posture, your head, shoulders, ribcage, pelvis, and knees should be stacked in one vertical line, one under the other. As I said before, when the position of the ribcage changes or pelvis shifts, the whole cylinder changes and your belly starts to stick out. These posture patterns can be different, but I usually see three most common types. Let me show you. Right now I'm standing in a neutral position. My ribcage and pelvis are parallel to the floor and parallel to each other, and my stomach looks flat and supported. The first pattern is when the head shifts forward, the upper back rounds, the shoulders roll inward, and the pelvis goes into a posterior tilt. The pelvis may even look as if it's pushed forward. Of course, I'm exaggerating this position, so now you can clearly see it, but in real life it's usually less obvious. In this position, the ribcage is constantly compressed, so we can't take deep, relaxed breaths. The diaphragm is tight, the ribs are tight, so nothing moves properly here. And because of that, all the pressure goes straight into the belly. We end up breathing only into the stomach instead of spreading the pressure evenly 360 degrees into the ribs and stomach. And it goes especially into the lower belly. Here is our balloon. If you press from the top, everything gets pushed downwards. And the same thing happens with our body. The head moves forward, the ribcage collapses back, the upper back rounds, the pelvis is in posterior tilt, the rib area becomes blocked, and all the pressure goes into the lower belly. That is why the lower stomach sticks out in this posture, no matter what your weight is or whether you have extra fat or not. The second, opposite pattern is when the pelvis tilts forward and the ribs are flared open. This creates excessive extension in the lower back and at the thoracolumbar junction. The lower back becomes compressed and tight, and all the pressure moves forward into the stomach. In this posture, the belly usually sticks out completely, both lower and upper parts. This creates this pregnant look because your abdominal muscles are constantly overstretched in the front. They stay in this lengthened position all the time and become weak. So the lower back is tight, all the pressure goes into the front abdominal wall. These muscles are weak and your belly sticks out even more. So it looks like this. Here's everything at the front is overstretched and in the back it's tight. The glutes are also constantly held in the lengthened position, so they become weak as well. So the pelvis keeps dropping into an anterior tilt and doesn't stay in a neutral position. The third pattern, when the pelvis also tilts forward, but at the same time the ribcage and upper back are rounded and compressed. So we have both forward pelvic tilt and a collapsed upper body. It looks something like this. In this position, the ribcage is tight from above, so again, we can't take full inhale or exhale. The pelvis is tilted forward, the abdominal muscles are weak, and the glute muscles are weak as well. When everything is compressed both from above and the lower back, all the pressure goes once again into the belly, especially into the lower belly. So, to change this, we have to change the posture. We need to bring the ribcage back over the pelvis and rebuild that healthy cylinder where the pressure can spread evenly. To get there, we need to work on posture, on the mobility of the thoracic spine, on breathing, and also bring the pelvis back through improving hip mobility and control. This is why working on your posture is so important if you want a flatter stomach. Here you can see examples from women who trained with my programs. At the beginning, most of them didn't have extra weight, but they had posture issues. And because of that, their belly was sticking out. After we worked on their posture, you can clearly see how the ribcage and pelvis has lined up. And immediately the stomach looks much flatter and more supported. If you have watched this far, now you know the 4 main reasons why your belly can stick out. And the key point is this. In real life, it is almost never just one single reason. Most of the time, it is a combination of all of them, or at least 2 or 3 at the same time. This is why when we only try to lose weight or only train our abs, we still cannot get rid of a protruding stomach, because we are not working on the real root causes. What we actually need is a complete step-by-step approach. It took me years and a lot of education to finally understand this, and start successfully using it in my own practice. I would go on strict diets and binge and gain it all back. I would train my abs until they were burning, but my belly still stuck out. Things only started to change when I stopped acting randomly and started following a structured system. This is when my body completely changed and my stomach finally became flat. And this is exactly the system I have put together in my program, Flat Stomach and Posture. Inside the program, we will work on your posture with special routines for ribcage mobility and hip mobility. We also focus on strengthening your deep abdominal muscles with targeted core workouts that are designed specifically for them. You will learn a proper breathing pattern and how to use it both in your everyday life and during workouts, because this is especially important if you want to avoid making things worse and instead get the maximum effect. You will also learn how to build a balanced way of eating that actually fits your life. With this, you can gradually reduce your overall body fat, including in the belly area, if that is what you need. You will be able to create a way of eating that supports your digestion and gut microbiome, so that bloating goes away and your belly looks flatter and calmer during the day. This program isn't another quick challenge where you get fast results. Restrict yourself, do a bunch of hard ab exercises, burn out, quit, and gain everything back. This program is a system that helps you change your lifestyle and get results you can keep for a long time. So if your goal is a toned, flat belly, lean and feminine body, better posture, less puffiness and no constant bloating, this program is for you. You pay once and you can use the program for as long as you want. Your access doesn't expire. It is suitable for complete beginners, as well as for women who already have experience with fitness. And you don't need any special equipment. I recommend that you don't put this off. Click the link, go to the website, and start this journey today. Begin to change your lifestyle and build a system that will help you keep your results for long term, instead of slipping back again and gaining even more. I will be waiting for you inside the program. If you still have any questions, you can write them in the comments, or message me in any social media or by email. I read everything, I answer everyone, and I'm here to help you. For now, like this video, leave a comment, save this information for yourself, and start your own journey toward a flatter, beautiful stomach.